Hey guys, this is the real Kiko here, coming to you one more time with a Shadow Priest guide. Again, I've been looking around for a lot of information on Shadow Priest and specifically on dot weaving, and haven't found too much information, so this is just a quick little brief rundown on my personal preferences for dot weaving and what I feel is specifically fun and enjoyable for me right now. So first of all, I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the talents. One of my first talents that I do decide to pick is Desperate Prayer, again because of the fact that it gives me that control over being able to use it in whatever situation I require to use it. For Prayer or Angelic Bulwark, but the thing is I like having that extra button that I can push whenever I need it, instead of having something passive that will just proc sometimes at moments that I might not need to have it proc, and next thing you know it's on cooldown. So definitely for the first tier talents I'm going to go with Desperate Prayer. For my second tier talents, I'm going to go with Angelic Feather because of the fact that it gives me, again, I like having control over everything that I can do. So just being able to have that extra movement, being able to move around and use it whenever I need to in case I need to move around in certain boss mechanics. Just having that ability make the entire fight feel more controlled. For the third tier talents, I have Insanity. Insanity is just a staple across most Shadow Priests because of the fact that a lot of your damage is going to come from Mind Flay, especially once you get that Insanity proc. So that's a staple across all Shadow Priests. The 60 level talents, we don't really have too many things that we're going to use it for. Again, it's just Void Tendril is going to go through that one really fast. It just helps you with a little bit of CC here and there. So the 75 tier of talents is actually a little bit more complicated because a lot of people like to debate on whether going Twist of Fate or Power Infusion. I personally like Power Infusion because of the fact that it's another ability that I can control when I need to have bursts coming out. A lot of bursts, I can just pop it, and next thing you know, I have that 25% extra spell haste. So it gives me that ability to feel more comfortable that I can proc something that can come out with a ton of damage when it's needed. Twist of Fate is really great if you have a lot of ads coming out in certain bosses where, let's say, you have to kill ads that drop below 35%. It's a great ability to have in those certain boss fights. So again, this is one of those abilities you can switch back and forth, but my personal preference is Power Infusion. For the level 90 tier talents, a lot of the Shadow Priests just like to run with Halo. It's a staple Shadow Priest ability because of the fact that it does so much damage and it's an instant cast ability. It hits everything within 25 yards, and the farther it goes, the farther you're away from the target, the more damage it will deal. So again, just my personal preference is Halo. For my level 100 talent, I like to use Clarity of Power. Clarity of Power is talent that you're going to be using at level 100 for dot weaving. Dot weaving is a little bit, it's a little bit more complicated, but it keeps the fight more interesting. It keeps you more into your Shadow Priest because you have to pay attention to everything you're doing. For glyphs, again, glyphs can vary depending on priest to priest. What you prefer is pick what you prefer. But this is my preference on what I like to use for my glyphs. The first glyph is Glyph of Dispersion because of the fact that I like having that ability to have my dispersion on a lower cooldown when I need it, so I can use it or pop it when I need to use that ability. Then I like the Glyph of Mass Dispel, so I can actually dispel certain abilities that other priests might not be able to. And then the third one will be Glyph of Mind Flay. Mind Flay is just because a lot of these fights nowadays require a lot of mobility. To being able to have that extra movement speed gives you that ability to move around and avoid certain mechanics of the fight that you need to run out of, and any little bit of movement speed helps a lot. For the Shadow Priest dot weaving rotation, it's actually pretty simple. A lot of times it's just going to be Mind Blast, then you go Mind Spike until your Mind Blast comes off of cooldown. Then again you keep spamming it, spamming Mind Spike, and Mind Blast. You want to keep doing this until you have 4 orbs built up. Once you have 4 orbs built up is when it gets a little different. Then you cast your Vampiric Touch, then your Shadow Word Pain, Mind Blast again, Devouring Plague, and that's when you start using your Mind Flay of Insanity, where you're going to be able to get 2 procs off of that. Right after, you're going to do another Mind Blast, and then another Devouring Plague, and you're going to be able to do another Mind Flay of Insanity. I'm doing this a little slower, so as you can see I'm not keeping up with the dots as well, but you should be able to get 2 rotations of that, and then you go back to the Mind Spike, and you keep spamming the Mind Blast when it's off of cooldown. That's pretty much the basics of dot weaving. And again, you keep going until you have 4 orbs. For some of our stat priorities as a Shadow Priest, I'm going to name them from 1 to 5. I'm just going to name some of our top priorities. One of them is Intellect, of course, being number 1. Then we have Spell Power being number 2. Number 3 is going to be Multi-Strike. Number 4 being Haste. And then number 5 being Versatility. So for dot weaving, this is the primary stats that we do want to have. Again, the stat priority do vary a lot depending on the style of Shadow Priest you're going to play. If you play traditional, it will change. If you play just casting with no dots, it'll change the stat priority. So this is just my specific stat priority for the dot weaving. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, please feel free to comment, like, subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment box below. I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. And if you have any suggestions, also leave them in the comment box below. I'd love to hear from you guys. And again, thank you so much for watching. And I'll make sure to come out with a new video soon. Thank you.